Alright, welcome everyone. This is Arafellin playing Touhou 8 Imperishable Night. I think I'll turn down the volume a little bit. Volume mixer. There. As usual, there's an incident in Gensokyo, and as usual, our protagonists go out to investigate. This time it's something to do with the moon and there being something wrong with it, so in addition to just going out investigating, they're messing around with time so there's more time before dawn so they can actually get to the moon before sunrise. As usual, you have the 4 difficulty levels: easy, normal, hard, and lunatic. As usual, we'll be playing on normal with our default theme, but this time, instead of having single characters, you normally play in 2-character tag teams. You have Reimu and Yukari, who is the extra stage boss from Perfect Cherry Blossom, or the Phantasm stage, really. Marisa, recurring protagonist with Alice, who was also appearing in Perfect Cherry Blossom in stage 3, I believe. You have Sakuya and Remilia from Scarlet Devil Manor. Embodiment of Scarlet Devil was the name of the game. The stage 6 boss and stage 5 boss. And Yukari and Youmu. Yukari is the one playing with Reimu. Yuyuko and Youmu. The names are right here. Youmu, Yuyuko. Anyway. The stage 5 and 6 bosses from Perfect Cherry Blossom. So you're playing in human and yokai teams. The human appears when you are just firing normally. They switch the yokai member when you focus, which is what the slow movement is. Each character has completely different shot types, although they tend to be somewhat related. Like Reimu has her usual homing shots. Yukari has Ran as like a kind of a seeking missile auxiliary fire. So they're both kind of homing. Each of them have different abilities. Each team has special traits. Each individual character has some special traits. Anyway, let's just get started. Notice you do not start off with any of the auxiliary fire. You'll notice in the bottom left there is a corner, there's a gauge that goes from -100 to +100. So what that is it goes from human on the left at -100 to yokai on the right at +100. And depending on which character you're using, or more accurately whether you're focused or not, that will shift in one direction or the other. When it's -80 to -100 on the human side, then you get these time orbs, these purple things, just for shooting enemies. When it's from +80 to +100 on the yokai side, then during bosses and sub-bosses, you get time orbs for grazing bullets. Also, there's a little improvement there to the automatic item collection. If you go above the auto collection line and you go into focus mode, you auto collect. I think there was a character that can do that even without having to focus. I think it might have been Marisa. Anyway. Enemies can also summon familiars. You'll see some of them doing that, the little wispy things. Familiars, again, are auxiliary fire. They add to the opponent's firepower by shooting things on their own. You can shoot them down with the human characters. The yokai characters do not interact with them directly. However, human characters other than Reimu can take contact damage from them. Anyway, here's our first boss, Regal Nightblood. You'll see also on the left, in addition to our lives, our score, lives, spell cards, which is bombs, power, graze, points, there's also this time thing. As you collect time orbs, that goes up. If you make it to the quota, which on this stage and difficulty is 2500, then at the end of the stage, time will advance by half an hour instead of a full hour. This is important if you're trying to get to bonuses at the end of the game. It's also important if you need to use continues, because continues also advance time half an hour. If you run out of time, I think you go into like 5 a.m. or something like that. If you run out of time, it's game over. And until then, you can continue as much as you want. I'm going to try to stay on Reimu to keep getting points just for shading her. And stage 1, normal. I should not have problems dodging these. Yep. Spell card bonus also gets you extra time orbs. You can see the familiars are going out and shooting extra bullets. Edrigo, incidentally, is not a boy, although the art kind of looks like it. To the best of my knowledge, there have not yet been any humanoid male characters in main Touhou games. Maybe in some of the side games or fan games. There's what's his name? Rinosuke is some kind of merchant who appears in a supplementary material. But not at least so far in the games. Also, if you meet your time quota, then at the and you're not playing on easy, then at the end of the boss fights, you get an additional spell. You'll notice if you look in the top right, there's a big X over lives and bombs. Basically, that means if I take a hit, it doesn't count as a lost life, but I also can't use bombs. So this is basically just a bonus challenge. And there we go. I think they call them last spells. Your player characters also get those, but in a different way. So there's the concept of death bombing that has appeared in at least since Touhou 6, possibly earlier. I'm not familiar with the PC 98 games. But death bombing is when if you get hit, you have a fraction of a second to use a bomb and not count as a death. In this game, that is still there, but the time to do that is extremely short. Normally what will happen is there's a longer window after getting hit, something like 0.5 seconds to 0.8 or something like that, where if you bomb, you use 2 bombs to do a stronger version of your bomb called a last spell, I think was the term. It's the same thing as what they call the final thing for bosses. Right, the other trick with familiars is if you hit them, well, 2 things. One is that taking them down will push your human yokai gauge back towards 0%. But the other thing is if you take down the enemy that spawned them, it will pop all the familiars at once. And you'll still get the time warp bonus, they'll still clear out shots nearby. So ideally what you want to do is take out the spawning enemy directly and not the familiar. And here's Misty O'Warley. She's, some kind of bird. I forget what exactly. But she's also a yokai that causes night blindness. Okay, and about this point I want to switch over to Yukari. Because we are on boss for the rest of the stage. I mean, technically that was mid-boss, but we're jumping straight into stage boss, with nothing between. You can see Ron kind of hovering there in front of Yukari. She'll stay there as long as there's no enemy nearby, kind of in a cone shape in front of her, but when there is, she kind of goes right over and gets in their face. So, like Reimu, Yukari can move around and keep hitting enemies without having to stay directly beneath them. Ron does have to actually walk on before she'll stay there, but that's usually not much of a concern. I also remember this stage being very difficult to get your time quota on, just because the quota is fairly high and you have relatively little chance to get it up. So I might not see her last spell. do want to try to do some extra grazing, because that's how you get time orbs and yokai. Got too close to that. So yeah, I don't think we're going to be looking at a no continue clear, but who knows? Yeah, if you're looking carefully, you can see those kind of summon symbols kind of things. Those are the familiars, but when you're in yokai mode, the familiars are not tangible. You can't shoot them, you can't get... Yeah, there's our special bomb. With a ridiculously long window. I think that was nearly a full second before I tried to activate it. Yeah, and here you see the night blindness kicking in. And no final spell. Because, yeah. So, time advanced from 11:30 to... yeah, 12:30 a.m. or 00:30. Got some nice little chaos going with familiars popping. Definitely want to collect those points for more lives if possible. And these are just spitting out familiar after familiar. And here's Kane. There's some fancy crisscrossing patterns. Anyway, apparently she's the guardian of this village and thinks they're attacking in the middle of the night because, well, our protagonists are not exactly known for their subtlety. Gonna have to dodge back and forth between these ways of things while avoiding the big bullets. As usual, Team Reimu has a smaller hitbox than the average opponent. Or average player, rather. Yeah, I think here it's better to go to yokai so you're not shooting down familiars. And can get those big bursts. And be on yokai mode for the boss, so you're getting points for grazing. Or time points. Here you don't want to be between those because that's just a mess. Here. Standard bomb. Yukari is the yokai of boundaries or borders or something like that. Here Kane is throwing things against walls. Like I said, Ron needs to lock on before she's in place. Yeah, I failed to bomb in time for that. Or maybe I didn't have enough bombs. You do need 2 bombs to do your special bomb. Although Team Reimu, you can do it with 1. I think you need to only have 1 for that to apply, but... yeah, not take chances here. As I've probably mentioned, I'm not particularly good at the games, I just find them fun. And spell card get. We're just about to quota. And bam. That'll do it. So our last word, or not last. Last word is a special thing that shows up in spell card practice that's even harder than the final spells. Yep. Not quite enough space there. Last spell, that's what these are called. Anyway. More conversation. Your end of stage thing also shows you how much of the time you're beyond 80% in either direction. So we're going from 30 a.m. to 1 o'clock a.m. Still doing pretty good on lives, actually. Yeah, when enemies surround themselves with familiars like that, you may want to switch to yokai just to be able to hit them directly. It's not particularly good for your time collection, though. I do like the music for this stage. It's nice and frantic. And now we're coming up on a rather interesting mid-boss. Because it's not every day you encounter the other protagonists. So a bit of explanation here. Your protagonist is investigating the situation with the moon. If you're playing as Reimu, Yukari, and I think Yuyuko and Youmu, you'll encounter Marisa here. If you're playing as Marisa, Alice, Remilia, Sakuya, you'll encounter Reimu here. Because the other protagonist is investigating, why is the night lasting so long? Because it's what they do. But they haven't really talked to each other. So the other protagonist just knows that something weird's going on. And wouldn't you know it, you seem to be responsible. So you fight. Marisa's magic is often very story-oriented. There's a lot of towers, there's a lot of lasers. It's possibly a premature bomb, again. Here we got stars again. We got stars coming in from the sides of the screen. As long as these shotgun bursts. Yeah, there's one of those last spells. Yeah, those things spawning the stars are technically familiar, so you can shoot them down. They recall them having a lot of health, though. So, not that easy. It's out of bombs. I was going to bomb. Yeah. I wasn't sure there was a gap through there big enough to get in. I think with these it might actually be safer to get in behind the familiars and closer to her. You got pretty shapes anyway. Yeah, notice if you final bomb when you're on Yukari, you'll bomb as Reimu and vice versa. Which will then boost the meter to that side of the meter, and not the other one. So that's another reason to try to avoid the final spells if you can. And out of bombs again. You can So you can see a lot of these shots are aimed. Want to grab those bombs. Marisa is back. And these stars move weirdly. They kind of swerve around. Anyway. And finally she notices it's Reimu. Non-directional laser. This is kind of stolen from Virtually. Although she does put a twist on it with these stars. Okay. Cut it a little too close there. It's another spot where it might be safer to get closer to her. If you can get in between the stars to begin with. Yeah. I really need to be more proactive about bombing. Yeah, and here you definitely want to misdirect the attack. Master Spark is Marisa's signature move, and... yeah. It's a doozy, but it's mostly pointed in one direction. The extra stars are just put in there to make it actually a challenge. Because without those, there's really nothing to it. Yeah, not doing well. So yeah, I'm probably going to have to continue, which means no one credit clear, but I have cleared this game before, so I can go into practice mode to see the other stage 6. So as I was saying, there's two different versions of Stage 4 depending on which protagonist you're playing as. You'll either face Reimu or Marisa. There are also two different versions of Stage 6, and you can't get to the true, the final B, and the true ending if you continued. Or if it's your first time through the game in this team. But, yeah. I will have to go into practice mode to show that, unless I somehow get through the rest of the game without running out of lives. Which I can't see happening at this point. Okay, we're coming up on Tay, the prankster rabbit. And in Japanese and some other Asian whatever. Yeah. Rabbits are associated with the moon. Rather than a man on the moon, as Western tradition sees, they see a rabbit on the moon. A rabbit with a hammer to make mochi, which is kind of almost like a rice doughy product. There's a one up. He's aiming? I think they are. Yeah, when you pop the familiars, they explode shots near them. And when you take out the summoner of the familiar, that takes out all their familiars. That throws back on the human side. And Raisin, a fan favorite. The bunny girl. There's, what's her name? Erin. Anyway, we're fighting Raisin. Known for bullets, not suppositories. Like bullets, as opposed to generically calling anything that gets shot at you a bullet. And for the lunatic red eyes. Yeah, the bullets are temporarily insubstantial while that weirdness is happening. So you can kind of dodge through the lines. Overall, not that hard. I believe if you're using human shots, you can take out the familiars that are spawning all the bullets in this wave, but they have a lot of health, and you're probably better off just going for the grays for the time bonus. It's not that difficult to dodge on normal anyway. Again, we're getting weirdness with the eye shenanigans. You want to try and find a gap in there. I didn't really do that. So bomb. And this is just... I forget how this works. It is weirdness, though. I think what you want to do is just hang back and dodge a little bit. Okay, this one I remember. You need to kind of dodge through that back to the middle. And I messed that up. And once again, we have weirdness going on with the eyes. I think it's safer right around there. Yeah, you again have the shots becoming insubstantial, but they also become invisible while insubstantial on this spell card. Alright, there's a 1-up. So, because of continuing, I'll be forced into Final A. But can hopefully clear this. I think you have until something like 5 AM. So that leaves me with several continues left. As I recall, you can't continue on Final B. But Final A, I'm pretty sure it's fine. Don't know how I managed that. And here's Aaron. Just barely got through that. Here she's spamming familiars. I think you actually want to be in the middle of that. Yeah, because most of the shots are going outward. There's just a few coming in, and you just kind of need to wiggle around those. And I got hit anyway. Oh well. But Aaron is basically just a decoy. So if you beat her, you get an ending, but it's not the good ending. I think there's actually a safe spot in the middle of that mess. If you're positioned just right. Ah. Yeah, that's a fairly easy pattern. Life game. Looks like I backed into one of those sitting bullets. Okay, out of bombs and lives, so... likely to need another continue. As usual, these are fortunately not as big as they look. Omoigane. Oh, that one spins the other way. Alright, you're continuing. You're bombing right away because I don't even know where the safe spots are. For some reason, these look like eggs to me. And the hitbox on them feels off. Anyway. Again, I believe the center of that circular formation is a safe spot if you're in just the right position. Also, at this point, time points don't matter because it's the final stage. There is no additional stage to move on to. Here I'm switching to Reimu to try and get less spam in my face by taking out some of the familiars. Because that is where most of these are coming from. Yeah, and like with Yuko's fans, damaging the familiar does some damage to the boss. Not as much as hitting her directly, but some. That close, too. Anyway, we'll still get a last spell because there is no time quota here. Oh, there's Kakia, the actual Stage 6 boss. Is this a survival card? I think this was a survival card, which means you're not actually doing damage, you're just trying not to get hit until time runs out. Okay, so phase 1 done. This is turning. duck through when the lasers are off. Now you have to watch out for this also. And the laser. But this is enough for a normal ending. You only get the bad ending if you run out of time. Cursor off the screen there. Hakure Shrine at night. Yep, there's Reimu and Marisa and Alice and Chen. Well, the three of them are lounging around. Chen is being a cat. There's Ron and Yukari. Also lounging. Yeah, as I recall, Yukari is the god that the Hakure Shrine enshrines, and is responsible for maintaining Gensokyo as a separate, distinct place with all its magic and weirdness. So, kind of the most important character in the series in a way. She just doesn't usually show up to do things in person. More of a behind-the-scenes type, getting other people to do her dirty work, so she can lounge around and do nothing. And because she continued, you can't save replay. Alright, so into practice. We'll go normal. Go with... yeah, 4A is... oh, that's interesting. You can choose 4A with them. But yeah, I think 4A is when you fight Marisa... or 4A is when you fight Reimu, 4B is when you fight Marisa. So let's go in here with Marisa and Alice, who can do what has been called the Malice Cannon. Basically, if you switch to Alice briefly, you'll get that laser beam coming out, and the laser beam lingers, so you can get most of the firepower of both characters instead of just one or the other. Notice that when you're in practice mode, you start with a ton of lives, because the point is, of course, practicing. And if you run out of lives early, well, there's not that much practice available, right? Of course, if you do terribly, you can't really practice anything. Anyway. Yeah, Team Marisa and Alice is not as good at spread as Reimu and Yukari, in the sense of being able to hit a wide area. But they can hit hard. So, Tamate, and here's Reimu. I thought this night lingering on seemed strange, and here you are. Marisa always causing trouble. Reimu's yin-yangs are considered familiars, so they become insubstantial when you're Alice. Reimu even has different music from Marisa, which makes sense. And she's doing this weird border thing where the cards are hitting those lines and acting weirdly. Let's see where she got there. I need to watch the enemy thing at the bottom of the screen to get the maximum effect. Yeah. Again, with Reimu and Yukari, you're pretty much hitting your opponent no matter where you go and what you do, but with Marisa and Alice, you need to be more or less right below them. This is the spam card. She just throws a bunch of everything out. And Marisa's signature. That's actually Final Spark and not Master Spark because it's the last card. But very distinctive. There's the standard Master Spark. Still pretty impressive. And very flashy. Reimu's warping around off the edge of the screen. I think she can actually do that in one of the later games as a player character. I'm being stupidly careless. That's fine. It's practice mode. Nothing matters in practice. And now Reimu's getting serious. And the problem here is, especially with this team, is getting a chance to hit her. You kind of have to weave in between the talismans. There we go. Is she invulnerable when she's warping around? Maybe. Her health's going down a little. She's just not in the middle of the beam, that's why. So I think so. Yeah, you notice there's also kind of like a circle in the background, giving you an idea of where your opponent is. It follows them around. Yeah, here's Reimu doing homing amulets. It's what you'd expect from her. And here's another weird border thing. Right, you want to kind of dodge back and forth across the border to find a safe spot. Like that. Ah, there. Spell bonus failed, but that's stage 4 Reimu version. And while we're in practice, stage 6B. This is where you get to if you cleared the game at least once on stage 6A and get to the end of stage 5 without using continues. It's a messier version of stage 6A already. Yeah, lives don't really matter. Yeah. Straining the aimed bullets, going right into the unaimed ones. At least I can take advantage of full power mode to clear the screen. Herein as the mid-boss. Doing the same sort of things as she does on stage 5 or stage 6A. And even the spell card should look familiar. although the specifics are a bit different. Not too bad. Biggest problem I have with that is not seeing things coming from the other direction. Okay, we do go straight into the boss, don't we? And here she is. Who are you? Kaguya. Bother. Something about the moon and whatever. And we fight. Different music than Aaron, of course. Ah, thought I saved there. Not quite. And this I just tried out in spell practice recently, and it took a few tries. Yeah, I think this is one of those where you want to stay back as far as you can and look for openings. Here you need to dodge between lasers and avoid stars. That was close. This should do it. She has 2 more life bars. You can see that over on the left in the top corner. Yeah, Yukari's bomb isn't that useful for offense unless the opponent's right near you. Kind of thinking I'm not sure Reimu's is either. And these are fire. You need to kind of find openings in. Then they add aimed lasers. You need to stream that while also looking for gaps in the fire. There you go. And these slow down and then start coming back up at the bottom of the screen, so you need to move up a little. And look at stuff coming at you from both sides. At least the ones coming out are pretty regular, so you don't need to look at them too much, you know where they're going to be. And laser beams. I don't deal well with crisscrossing shots like that. Been a problem ever since Bicheli's mercury poison. Yeah, right into it. And these are aimed when they hit the walls. I think we're at the point where the boss is immune to bombs. Didn't quite slip through there. And this is getting chaotic towards the end, because of course it is. And of course she has last spells too. Not just one, but several. I believe they're all the survival variety, so no point in shooting. Yeah. Almost. And this keeps going half an hour each time until you run out of time, or she runs out of spells. Or I think you lose an hour if you fail it, or half an hour if you pass. Since this is practice and you're coming into it, it's 11 o'clock to start with instead of wherever you would actually be. You're probably going to see them all in practice. And is there one more? Yeah, this is the last one. You start it with just the butterflies, then you add these, then you add knives curving the other way, then you add more stuff, then you add slowdown. Slowdown not actually part of the challenge. Yeah, that is stage 6B, or final B. But this game also had spell practice, where you can practice any spell card you've seen, not just cleared. As I recall, the @ sign means you've gotten them on every character. The star means on at least one, and for stages, that's for all of them in that cell. And each difficulty counts as its own thing. For instance, these are Firefly Phenomenon on easy, normal, hard, and lunatic. Let's just go through demonstrate the differences between the difficulties. This is easy. It's pretty unremarkable. The density is low. The pattern is not much of one. And it's over already. If you're going to normal, it'll be pretty similar, but a little more dense. And we saw this during the main playthrough, so nothing new here. You can save individual replays. If you fail, or even if you don't, you get the option to try again immediately, so that's nice. Now, here we are on hard, so hard, there's going to be some extra twist to it. I think she's doing more waves of shots in between the aimed ones. There's more density to everything. Still not too bad. And then Lunatic will be a souped up version of that. Switch to Yukari. Basically the same concepts as hard, it's just everything is more dense. But then to make things even more interesting, in addition to the individual stages and extra, there's also this last word category. These are exceptionally difficult special spell cards that don't appear in normal gameplay at all. They only appear here in spell practice, and only once you've met certain conditions. You'll notice some of them I just don't have yet. Like number 214, you need to clear you need to see 206, 207, 208, and 212 at least once. You don't need to clear them. But I haven't seen 212 because I haven't unlocked the conditions for that. You need to clear 146 and 196 and see 205 at least once. So 146 would be here. That's hard mode, one of Aaron's Yeah, that's Aaron's last card in hard mode. The 196, I think, is... No, that's an extra. The 196 I have seen, but the last one, 205, I think, is... Yeah, that's the very end of Lunar, or extra stage, so I haven't gotten that far yet. So this isn't available. So I'll just pick one of these out. Let's say... I'll do Mistius. This is Blind Night Bird. So Mistius' gimmick was that you can't see very well around you. On this, it is taken to extremes. You can barely see, and you also have stuff coming from off screen that you... rapid, whatever. Yeah. Honestly, I remember the sight bubble being smaller, but I think I'm thinking of her actual last card. Nice thing about this, and this is a nice thing in any game that has high difficulty, is that if you fail, you can just go right back and try again. There's no break in the action. Like I've mentioned, I'm not that good at this. I just think it's fun. I think those streams are aimed, so you want to kind of park yourself when you know they're coming, and then move a bit to the side. And there, I moved too far. Anyway. What else do we have? Here's Reimu's. This one I've never cleared. Yeah, this is a survival card. That's not how you do that, obviously. Okay, so she throws out her yin-yangs. Those are familiars. They do that. And yet those come after you. Can I just dodge at the bottom of the screen all day? Maybe. Not for that one. And they're just going to keep coming faster and faster. Almost. Let's see, which one was I thinking of? There's also them for the player characters. Here's Youmu, doing one of her Youmu-ish things from something very similar to what she does in Imperishable. Not Perfect Cherry Blossom. I think you want to get a few lines away from her so she doesn't hit you directly. And the lines get less and less neat as time goes on. Anyway. Obviously, there's more of these I have not unlocked. Youmu. Deflation World. What was Sakuya's? We'll give this a try and then call it a day. Ah, right, this one. Where she spawns in huge lines of knives, and I don't know how it decides where they're aimed. And if one decides to spawn on top of you, you just lose. I think you do want to be moving. That was close. Yeah, I think you want to be moving when they spawn so they come behind you. There, I actually did one. Anyway. This has been Arafellin playing Imperishable Night, Touhou game number 8. Yep, come back next week and we'll do Touhou 9. I believe that's Phantasmagoria of Flower View, which has a radically different style of gameplay than the standard Touhous. You're still shooting things and being shot at, but it's 2 players side by side, kind of like a Tetris attack sort of thing, so kind of different. In any case, enjoy your weekend. Merry Christmas to all who celebrate it, and happy